All right, now let's see how we can remove elements from an array. So start by declaring a new array, numbers, and we set this to 1, 2, 3, 4. Earlier in this section, you learned about 3 methods to add new elements to an array. You learned about the push method, which we use to add something at the end of an array. You learned about the onShift method that we use for adding elements at the beginning of an array, and the splice method that we use for adding an element somewhere in the middle. Now, when it comes to removing an element, again, we can remove an element from the end, from the beginning, and from the middle. But instead of the push method, we use the pop method. This will remove the last element in this array and return it. So let's store that in a constant called last. And here I'm going to do a console.log of numbers, so you can see the array after we pop the last element. And also I'm going to show you this last element. Save the changes. So here's our array, 1, 2, 3, and you can see the last element is 4. Now, if you want to remove an element from the beginning, you use the shift method. Similar to the pop method, this will return the element that was removed. So we can store that in first, and let's have a look here. Save the changes. So the first element is 1. Now, if we log numbers, we only have 2 and 3. Pretty easy. And finally, the splice method, you learned about that earlier. So if you want to remove an element somewhere in the middle, you pass the index of that element. So let's say we want to remove this 3 here. The index of this element is 2. So we pass 2 here. And as the second argument, we pass the number of elements we want to delete. We can remove one element, and then let's log this on the console, numbers, save the changes. Actually, the result is confusing. So I'm going to comment out these 2 lines so we work with our original array. Let's have a look. So note that 3 is removed. We have 1, 2, and 4. Now, if you want to delete multiple elements, you pass a value greater than 1. So we can delete 2 elements starting from index 2. Save the changes. So 3 and 4 are removed, and we only have 1 and 2. So to recap, use the pop method to remove the last element, the shift method to remove the first element, and the splice method to remove an element somewhere in the middle of an array.